Welcome to Fireworks on TVC. The coming governorship election in Ondo State, which is less than a month away, is our subject of discourse today. The series of events unfolding there, specifically the defection of the state's deputy governor to two political parties within 2 weeks, is unprecedented. The closest to this was in 2007 when former governor Olusegun went against the ruling People's Democratic Party in the state, led by Dr. Segun Agagu, using the Labour Party platform. Well, you know how that turned out. But as we wait for the turnout of 2020, let's find out what the ruling party this time around is doing to ensure that history favors them this time. Let's take a moment. Welcome once again to Fireworks. My guest today is the Commissioner for Information in Ondo State, Mr. Donald Ojogo. Welcome to the program, Mr. Ojogo.
You're welcome and thanks for having me. Good.
Let's start this way. The public has been left with guesswork as far as the feud between your principal, the governor of the state, AKEREDOLU, and his deputy is concerned. Can you provide an official explanation as to what exactly is the cause of the discord?
We have tried as much as possible to put behind us the issue of the feud between the governor and his estranged deputy. As much as we try to put it behind us, we also cannot run away from the issues that are arising from this matter, as we have also rightly alluded. But, you know, no matter how we run away from it, we cannot but discuss this issue because these are personalities involved in the contest for the governorship election of Ondo State. And as much as we try to ensure that we refrain from running into the arena of conflict. I mean, those of us who are appointees and practitioners outside the purview of the leadership, outside the level of the leadership, rather, we cannot but discuss these issues. It's in one word, it's treachery. In another word, it could be called distrust. We could also use the word inordinate ambition, or a phrase like inordinate ambition. That is the cause of it. Mr. Governor is someone who is very loyal to friendship, is very loyal to companionship, is very committed and dedicated, and even someone who believes that whoever is with him.
Okay, Commissioner, let's manage our time. Is it true that the deputy governor mismanaged discretionary powers given him by the governor to handle appointments in Ondo South?
Well, that is left for people to decide. As far as we are concerned, those are issues of the past. We already know the circumstances that pervaded that era. We already know the consequences.
Okay, another one. Here's another one.
Yeah.
Here's another one. Is it true that he allocated most of the slots of appointments to the South to his friends in the PDP?
Well, I wouldn't know about that.
Is it true that he began building political structures without the governor, AKEREDOLU'S, knowledge, and also started nursing governorship ambition when the governor traveled to Germany for surgery?
That is quite obvious. That is just saying the obvious, and it's very hard.
And is it also true that he started meeting with party elders and state assembly members, asking them to invoke the doctrine of necessity to make him governor in the governor's absence?
Quite true, and irresponsibly too, because everybody in the states witnessed what happened when the governor was away for some time. So it's not a matter we need to even subject to debates. Events have already overtaken that, but those issues you have raised are quite true, and I use the word advisedly, that those were times that were irresponsibly deployed by the estranged deputy governor.
Is it also true that one of the reasons for the feud between both parties is that the deputy governor is dissatisfied or unhappy with resources of state being diverted to fund the First Lady's pet project? Is that also one of the issues?
Well, in politics, there is nothing one cannot listen to. There is nothing one cannot hear. But I can tell you, and I'm saying it on national TV, but Someone who appropriated government contracts using his companies cannot come to the open to say that resources were diverted to fund the office of the First Lady. That is untrue. I can say that it is untrue. Ask, maybe when you have your interaction or your interface with the deputy governor or whoever that's likely to represent him, ask him who constructed the roads from Ajagba to Shabome. Ask him who constructed some other roads. He has companies that bidded for these roads, and he did these roads. The documents are there. We are not prepared to come to the open to damage a personality that is already drenched in lack of integrity. So what he's saying is just to hold on to whatever straw he likes to keep himself afloat. So we are not going to respond to that, and if he has any evidence to that effect, we'll be glad to be presented with such.
So why doesn't the government come out with an official position instead of using vague words such as treachery and betrayal to describe what is going on between the governor and his deputy? Well, and back up all allegations with evidence in the spirit of accountability.
Yeah, I thank you for that encouragement, but that itself is a matter of style. It's a matter of style. Mr. Governor has resolved that he will not lay his hands on any documents to ensure that someone's personality is destroyed. He won't do it. But we will also not refrain from saying this to the world, that the man coming out to discredit this government is the worst one can ever have as a lieutenant. And I make bold to say it, and I say it without any iota of regret, that I still repeat, that it's an act of treachery, it's an act of betrayal for him to have come out. Yes, some of us also came to government, yes, through him, but when we're coming to government, because I know they're likely to raise it when you get to interface with them. I came to this government, it brought me to where I was with the minister to be his deputy chief of staff. Subsequently, I became commissioner for land and housing, but it never brought me to feed an act of treachery. So some of us decided to say, look, that wouldn't work with us, and we decided to ensure that we stayed back, not to fight the system, but to ensure that the system is better strengthened for optimal performance. So all these things he's talking about, we are not bothered, but we are challenging him. If he has evidence to that effect, let him bring those evidence so that we'll react accordingly. But no word can be better used to describe this man who is enshrined today as deputy governor. Words like treachery, betrayal are very minimal in our description of this man.
Okay, we're going to get the deputy governor's response to these stories. We're going to give him a right of reply. But why has reconciliation been a difficult task, particularly as Ondo goes into the crucial 2020 governorship election?
Well, maybe you have to explain further what you mean by the difficulty in reconciliation. Reconciliation between the APC and who, or reconciliation between the governor and who?
The all-important reconciliation between the governor and his deputy. He remains deputy governor so far.
We have moved past that. We have moved past that. It is inconceivable for a deputy governor who dumped the party with which he ran on his platform with his deputy to reconcile with his principal, to reconcile with the governor. It is inconceivable. So when people talk about reconciliation, it took some time before we got to this level. So a series of meetings held, he came frustrated before Mr. Governor, begging, bringing governors and leaders, traditional rulers were also involved. So if at a point, Mr. Governor at each of these points was having the spirit of forgiveness, and he was always giving him the benefit of doubt until the bubble burst. So once we got to this stage, I think it's open to everybody that reconciliation was no longer feasible. So I don't know how you tend to reconcile with a deputy who decided to dump your party and decided that he was not just going to dump the party, he was going to rock the boat while still remaining in the government. So the truth is there is no way reconciliation could have sufficed because we had gone past that.
The suggestion for reconciliation is being made because, Honorable Commissioner, I wonder if you're aware about permutations ongoing that the entry of the Zenith Labour Party into the election is going to split the votes, particularly with the endorsement of the former governor of the state, Olusegun Mimiko. Is the APC in Ondo State currently becoming jittery as a result of that development?
we are happier by the day since this issue of ZLP, or what they term the third force, came on board. Rather than being jittery, I don't know who is jittery, I don't know which of the parties is jittery, but those of us in the APC, we are getting more and more confident by the day. Let me tell you one thing, Buki. There is little or nothing one can achieve through kinetic efforts. It takes the grace of God to wriggle oneself out of troubled political waters. And that is what has happened in the case of our governorship candidate, who is also the governor of the state. As I'm talking to you just yesterday, there was an last stakeholders meeting where all the governorship aspirants were with the governor to endorse him, not just endorsing him, but donating both human and material resources to enhance the campaigns. If at all, the chances of the APC, the chances of our governorship candidate, the governor of Ondo State, Oluwarotimi AKEREDOLU, are better enhanced by these missteps and miscalculations that are being propelled by inordinate ambition. I can tell you, and conclusively, that thing we call third force or the ZLP is the height of frauds. And the people of Ondo State are waiting to terminate it when the time comes. And
indeed, nationally, Nigerians are waiting as well. We'll still talk more about reconciliation. But let's stay with one last breath on reconciliation as far as the governor and his deputy is concerned. Now, is the governor's inability to reconcile with his current deputy, and of course, you know, the build-up of the crisis, has it anything to do with the notion within the party that the governor runs a one-man show?
That question appears to be preposterous, because the reasons that in that case, maybe you are trying to allude to the fact that within the space of 5 months, the reasons that made whoever that is estranged, that could not reconcile himself with his principal, the governor, that within 5 weeks, those reasons also survived in those political parties he went to. So whatever issues that people have decided to play up, you know, ignorantly in the public glare, have been repudiated by the acts and the steps and the calculations of the deputy governor. It goes to show that as soon as he left the APC for the PDP, yeah, there was this hysteric moment around the state. But 5 weeks after, when he left the PDP for ZLP, it is getting clearer that the reasons he concocted for himself, the reasons he hyped for himself to leave the APC were not reasons that were genuine, because those reasons, as far as I know, could not have been available in the PDP for him to dump the party again. So I have said it. If you can allow me, because it's impossible for me now, I lack the capacity to direct the proceedings of this program. If not, I would have suggested that we discuss other matters. The man has been unveiled.
Commissioner, you may say that the question is preposterous, but ahead of the primaries, before the primaries, the governor had to contend with the unity force in Ondo State, led by Alhaji Ali Olanusi, and disgruntled elements within the party before the governor started a reapproachment. We're talking about how the APC was sure to lose the election if the party presented the governor yet again as the candidate of the party, particularly because of how he managed party affairs.
Well, that is wrong. Those are issues that were propelled and hyped by those who are no longer members of this party. But I want to correct an impression that we do not have disgruntled leaders and members of the party. We only have people who have opposing views with that of the governor. But I can tell you, Unity Forum, as of today, is now a dissolved element. It has dissolved into the mainstream of the governor's campaign. The leader of the Unity Forum and the former governor, former deputy governor of the state, Alhaji Ali Olanusi, yesterday was with the governor. They have reconciled, and the governor, shortly after his emergence as the candidate, went all out, you know, to meet all the aspirants, particularly those who were promoting their ambitions on the platform of the dissolved Unity Forum. He met all of them, and they all gave their awards. Other aspirants who were not even members of the Unity Forum gave their awards. Just yesterday on Sunday, I can tell you, all the aspirants are on board, and they have seen the usefulness of fielding the governor for a second term. Because it's only in continuity that we can achieve much more that we desire. They have seen the reason for the continuation of the governor in office for additional 4 years, and they are all on board. Structures are being put in place, and all these leaders you are referring to are all on board. They are on board to ensure that the party and the candidates have an unhindered access towards victory come October 10.
Now, is it really a case of reconciliation? Because we also saw pictures of the governor and those who contended with him for the APC ticket at the primaries. We saw pictures of them, speaking and all of that during efforts of reconciliation. But is it really a case of coming out to smile for the cameras, but really behind closed doors, they really, aren't smiling with each other?
Proper, very genuine, committed, unalloyed reconciliation, untainted reconciliation that has taken place. Very unusual in the politics of this nation. And that is why people find it difficult to believe. So very, very untainted reconciliation, very genuine, and very, very committed. And the steps that have been taken by Mr. Governor actually, indeed, oiled that reconciliation processes, and those reconciliation processes, rather. So it's an unusual manner. I said it, that, you see, whatever you want to achieve through kinetic efforts and energy, without the grace of God, may likely be impossible for one to achieve. This project is a project it's divinely ordained. It's a project that has been graciously approved by God. That is why all manner of leaders, even those who are opposing views with Mr. Governor, have decided willingly to come and salvage the party. They have come to salvage the party and the governor. It is for them. It is not for the governor. It is for the party. AKEREDOLU is my governor, as they will always say. He is their governor. He is their candidate. And the party is their party. It is a party of all of us, including all these our leaders who had, divergent views with the governor that have decided to come around. And let me also say this, that in Ondo State, we now have a governor's advisory council, in the party that is meeting regularly. It met 10 days ago, 8 days ago. Yesterday, and in last meeting, as a result of proposals submitted and approved at an earlier meeting, an earlier stakeholders meeting also took place, where all these gladiators who are founding members and leaders of the APC were in attendance. In any case, no one is seeing this project as an AKEREDOLU'S project. Everybody sees that project as his or her own project. Every leader, every member of the party sees that project as a project of the party, and it is an APC project.
Now, as you go ahead into the election, let's look at what the people of Ondo State, are saying, the conversations forming the election. Many are seemingly not happy with the governor, particularly because they say he has concentrated only on education and a bit of infrastructure. But when it comes to deductions, the workers are still being owed as far as 3 months.
Well, that is not true. It's an illogical propaganda. I want to tell you that when we came on board, we met a backlog of 7 months on paid salary. And 6 months after those 7 months have been cleared, we have 1 month outstanding. And ever since the governor came on board, since February 2017, he has not owed any worker any salary except for the immediate month, the immediate past month of July. That is one aspect to it. The most important aspect to it is that all these deductions that we are talking about have been cleared 3 weeks ago. In any case, the decision to clear them was not just taken by Mr. Governor. It was a joint decision taken between the leadership of the labor unions and government. And they resolved that these issues have to be resolved by way of paying all these deductions. So maybe you are talking about an issue that is almost belated. Those are campaign issues they are packaged to roll out prior to the election, but we have circumvented all this.
So what is your position of strength as you go into this election, particularly for the All Progressives Congress, apart from education and infrastructure?
Well, I thank you for acknowledging the fact that we have tried much in education and infrastructure. In infrastructure, this is the first time within 3.5 years that a sitting governor, a first-time governor, will embark on this massive and accelerated infrastructural drive, particularly in the area of construction of roads. The moment you have acknowledged that, I think is a happy moment for some of us, because it would have been a different ballgame if the story out there was that the governor did not perform. The most important issues around human development are education and infrastructural development. And if we have been able to achieve much in those two sectors, I think we will also do more, better next time. But let me also add this. We have performed better in the area of industrialization. This is the first time in about 20-25 years that 6 industries are springing up in an industrial hub at Ore. That industrial hub has employed minimum of 4,800 workers by the last calculation that we made. 6 industries, textile industry is there, vehicle assembly, truck assembly plants are also there, and the ethanol factory is also there. I can name on and on like that. Then you look at the drive that the governor has invested in the area of these deep sea ports. As I'm talking to you today, we have reached an advanced stage, which is minimum of 80-85% in the pursuit of our port, the deep sea projects in the larger area of the states. We are at the level that presentation we made to the infrastructural regulatory and concession agency, or commission rather, that we will now take off from there. No government has ever got to that stage ever in the history of these states, as far as the port issue is concerned. But that is where we are. So the areas are numerous and too many to mention. But the driving force I want to mention is integrity, the God-given integrity of Mr. Governor, with which he has driven all these things in an unusual manner.
All right, Honorable Commissioner for Information on Ondo State, Mr. Donald Ojogo, we thank you very much for your time on Fireworks.
Thank you, and I wish to have you more time again.
Of course, the last has not been heard about events playing out in Ondo State as far as the 2020 governorship election is concerned. The next few weeks will tell how things will unfold, particularly after the governorship election. On this program, we'll stay on the stories and bring you developments. Thank you for watching today's edition. We'll bring you another same time next week. Bye for now.